If you've been wanting to build a thriving business using the power of video, which is the most efficient way to build know, like, and trust with your audience, there's only one platform that allows you to use long form video and short form video, and you can monetize that content, and it's evergreen, meaning it doesn't die in the algorithm a day or a week later. It lives forever. It's YouTube. If you're not leveraging YouTube in your business, you are missing out on one of the most powerful platforms because of its evergreen capability and its ever growing options in terms of both long form and short form video. So if you've ever wanted to leverage video and specifically monetize that and hit all aspects of video marketing, today's episode is for you. Today, we're going to dive into exactly how you can make the most of YouTube. So let's do this. Today, I'm here with Debra Kasowski, the charismatic host of the thought-provoking podcast, The Millionaire Woman Show, dedicated to helping people live rich from the inside out through principles of life, leadership, and business. She has interviewed high-profile guests like Bob Berg, Jill Lublin, and Mark Victor Hansen, and speaks on topics of turning your questions into your quest, the unshakable mindset, and transformation. She's an award-winning 3 times best-selling author, 2 times TEDx speaker, past contributor to Forbes Coaches Council, and certified executive coach. And she's integrated her leadership and management career into a world-class coaching, training, and consulting venture focused on helping business owners and solopreneurs just like you develop winning success habits that transform human potential into sustainable profits. So we are incredibly blessed to have her here with us today. And we're going to dig into all things related to video marketing and specifically how to market on YouTube, which is the best platform for that. So we're so blessed. Thank you so much, Debra, for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. And I'm really excited to be talking about this topic and, showcasing how easy it can be. I know people think camera and they get stage fright right away.
Right. Yeah. Not everyone likes being on camera. Certainly, no one's a big fan in the beginning. I know it's hard for a lot of new and emerging solopreneurs to learn to get on camera, but before we dig into all things video marketing and YouTube, can you tell us just a little bit about your entrepreneurial story and how you became, a rising expert in this area and how YouTube started to play such a starring role in your business?
Thank you so much. Great question. I would say I'm an accidental entrepreneur, really. My background is in nursing. I was in a nursing career, and one of my friends who was a financial planner, she said, "Deb, take the day off. Come with me to this luncheon." And it was a luncheon with eWomen Network. And Sandra Yancey, the founder, was actually at the event, and she was talking about the little engine that could. And I sat there just listening. But what caught me was all the energy of the room of all these entrepreneurs sparked with ideas, sharing concepts. And then she shared the story about the little engine that could. And then there was something that planted a seed for me that, that little engine that could, it was a she. She could do it. She got over the mountain. And then I had gone to an event, a real estate event, and the speaker was a friend of my husband's. And he was speaking. I just watched how everybody was mesmerized, paying attention, leaning forward. And I thought, okay, I need to know how to do this because this is really cool. And I went up to him during the break and I said, "Can I pick your brain?" Never asked someone that question. What I learned really quickly was the greatest lesson I've ever had. And it was the greatest lesson, but it was a reinforcement lesson. Is he said, "Deb, go sit down. And when we come back from the break, I will attend to your question." So I sat down getting all excited. He's going to answer my question. And he called me up in front of 200 people in this room. And he said, "What did you do wrong?" And my 50 shades of red came over my face. And I'm like, "I asked you if I could pick your brain." And I was like, oh, and I had just finished reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he even says, you don't ask somebody to pick their brain. You see if there's a way to create those win-win relationships. And it was like an instant lesson. And I just looked at him and I said, "Okay, Darren, I got it. You don't have to tell me anymore. But what happened was all these people came up to me afterwards, giving me all these contacts and ways to collaborate, and the networking exploded. And then it just kind of led from here to there and just being open to opportunities, which really brought me back to how did I become an entrepreneur?
That's fascinating. And so for the audience, I would love to point out at this point, how many speakers have we heard from who felt like accidental entrepreneurs, but they were open to opportunity? And is that you? Do you kind of feel that way too? I think, we're cut from the same cloth. We're all here because we're entrepreneurs. And we all have like 1,000 ideas. We want to do everything. We have all these creative things. We want to do more things than we have time for, right? Who's feeling that a little bit?
Yeah.
And so the great encouraging news, like Debra went to this networking event and was surrounded by like-minded people, and that energy was contagious, right? And now that's exactly what this event is all about, is you guys, we're all cut from the same cloth. We're all entrepreneurs. This is our safe space. This is where we can all be ourselves and learn and grow together. And I love that you kind of had that learning moment on stage, though. Eek, how painful, but also it paid off because everyone surrounded you afterwards and your network exploded.
And years later from that story, I was publishing my second book, and it was a women's event. And he said, Deb, I need you to bring a box of books, and we're going to hand it out to all the women. I'm going to buy a box of books. And I got to share the story of how that moment changed the trajectory. And here he was giving back to me as I learned the lessons, and I volunteered, or I, had an opportunity to share how that conversation led to having a book.
Yeah.
3 books later.
And honestly, I love that your story included a moment where you're up on stage and like you're feeling those nerves, because for a lot of people, getting on camera is exactly that. It's that feeling of being up on stage and people are looking at me. They're going to judge me. They're going to see me like they're really going to see the real me. Oh no, right? So what a perfect story to lead into video marketing and YouTube. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now, let's start at the beginning and drill in. So why is video marketing so important? Why is it so valuable? And why is it worth our audience's time to get into, even if they're scared out of their mind to do it?
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, it is a little bit scary, but use those butterflies that you're feeling and bring them forth and use it to create. Use it as your fuel. I'm a creator by nature. And when I discovered video, it was very interesting because even when I started my podcast, I had done it with my phone in my hand, plugged into an app at the time called Boss Jock. Mm-hmm. And that's how I started before we had all these other platforms to use. And then what I realized is we think that we need to have all this fancy equipment and all this fancy gear, but you don't. So to really get started, video is taking over. People are starting to watch at least an hour a day of YouTube over a television show. People are being consumers of that. They can now find audiobooks where they can listen and drive to something off of YouTube. Or they're looking for motivational videos, or they're looking for travel information. YouTube is a search engine on its own. And for those who are visual, it's very much a place of connection, but it's also a place that there's a community that's being built around YouTube.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And especially for the younger generations, they're using YouTube more and more and more. And I think it's taking over like traditional cable TV, right? A lot of them only watch video through YouTube. And so like my son is a perfect example. He has certain people that he follows. It's all about like gaming, right? He's a gamer.
Yeah.
But there have been times that I've gone to talk to him in his room and he just has videos going that he's not even watching or half watching. And I'm like, what are you watching there? He's like, oh, well, I follow these YouTubers and I really want to support them. So sometimes I just put their channel going and just let it play for hours to boost their watch content. And I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, for sure. If you really like and support someone, like that's what it looks like to me. I'll binge all their stuff all day long just to make sure their views are up.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if someone did that to your content?
And I love that you brought that up because, you know, my son is a gamer too. And I would be like, hey, have you heard of Twitch? Have you heard of this YouTuber? And he's like, Mom, it's not for you. And I'm like, no. You got to understand, I have to think like you because I'm seeing the impact that it makes. And when you think like a YouTuber, you can generate that. So if you've ever gone onto YouTube and you want to understand what the monetize your channel means, is really to get started. There are a few basic things, but 2 criteria stand out the most. You need to have 1,000 subscribers and also 4,000 view hours. And then they send you like this plaque. And, you might not think that you're going to be making a lot of money. And even someone I'm working with right now, I'm being used as a case study for his potential, course that he's building, and to tip us over to monetizing. He says, you might only make, 100 to get started. And I'm like, hey, I have video content on that for free right now. And, people are running ads through different things that I look at, and who gets the money? YouTube or you? So it's really about how can we support each other to, maybe we need to do it exactly. That's brilliant what your son said. We can support people who we know who have YouTube channels and just let the videos play while we do other work and listen to them. I know I've listened to Evan Carmichael, and I've listened to Lewis Howes and, Mel Robbins and all these other individuals' videos while I do work or clean the house. Why not be at someone that you know personally and support that gain?
Absolutely. I mean, for those of you watching in the audience, if you saw a certain speaker here in this event and they just really, something they said just hit you just the right way, or something you just knew that was the next thing you needed to work on, or you just really liked them for whatever reason. If they have a YouTube channel, why not have it going in the background? Someday someone might be doing that on your YouTube channel, right? Maybe you start one as a result of this event, right? Of this interview. That could be really neat. So for those who are wanting to get started in video marketing, and specifically on YouTube, you had mentioned a lot of people think they need all this fancy, expensive equipment. Can we talk just for a brief moment about, truly what it does take to get started and the best way to get going?
Absolutely. I find that there's things that hold us back from moving ahead. And as a coach, it's often not that we have the time, lack of time, resources. It is that belief that we have to be super talented. We need to know how to edit. We need to know how to shoot. Basically, we know how to take a picture of our kids or our travel or whatever it is that we're working on. We know how to take a picture, but can we do video? Mm-hmm. And I'm here to tell you that absolutely you can with your phone. I have some other things that I've added along the way, but it didn't start that way. But the phone that we have right now, the smartphones, they have such a superior quality. And the biggest thing is 2 things that I will tell you that will make sure that your YouTube video will be great to get started is you need good lighting. You don't want to have a light behind you, because when the camera is facing you, you're going to be dark. You're going to be in the shadow. So we want to, when you're wondering, let me just pull out my phone here, is that when you go around a room in your house, you can go with your phone around yourself and see where the best lighting is and set yourself up there. You want to have good light. So that people can see you. And, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find times where I had poor lighting. But did I take the content down? No, I didn't. Because here's the other thing I want to remind all of you. Your content and the value you provide is more important than how fancy the video looks or how many edits or pieces or music. And nobody's caring about that. Mm-mm. Are you putting in value? Are you delivering content that matters and makes a difference? So if that you're using that as your excuse not to get started, I just busted that one.
Yeah. And I think especially now more than ever, as everyone has kind of been forced to move to Zoom meetings and at-home meetings and being on camera, I think the expectation that everything on YouTube has to be this perfect production quality video, I think that expectation is gone. No one expects that anymore.
And here's the thing. There's times I use my phone and there's times I use the Zoom platform. I put on a fancy background, which you can Google free virtual background. You could put home and garden. That's probably how I got one of these, and then there's some on canva.com where you can help also create graphics for your YouTube thumbnail or YouTube art channel. So these are free resources. People think that we have to have all these fancy things, and a lot of the resources you need are free. You just need to get started. The other thing that I'm going to highly recommend, that if you do use your phone, and I am not endorsing this as a affiliate, although maybe I should start, is power-wise. It is a lapel mic that plugs into your phone. So if you have an iPhone, you're going to have to get one of these dongle-y things. Mm-hmm. But it's a lapel mic that actually plugs into your phone, and you wear this, and the sound quality changes everything. Now, how much did I pay? I paid $20.
I think I have the exact same one, and I think I paid $20 for it.
Yeah. So under $100, you're even less than that. Mm-hmm. I used to have one of those little lights that clip onto my computer. I have since bought a small ring light just at, a Marshall's or a Ross, or they now sell them there. Like when I bought my big one, it was $500. And now people can get ring lights like nothing.
Oh yeah. You can find a good ring light anywhere from, $30 to $100. Like It does not have to be expensive.
Yeah. So when you have good sound quality and you have good lighting and you come up with great content and finding what people need, mm-hmm. you are already showcasing the highest quality.
Yeah.
Some of these gamers, like people, the concept just blows my mind. People are watching people play games. How do they do? How do they do that? They're engaging. And I even, I'm part of a board where one of our fundraisers was, making win-win connections with someone who's on Twitch, and they made thousands of dollars in donations toward charitable foundations. It's crazy to think of the legacy, the reach of how people are getting their names out there.
Right. I mean, as long as you're making content that your audience would like, they're going to find you and they're going to watch it. I mean, I'm not a gamer, so I'm not going to sit there and watch hours of gaming videos like my son does, but I'm an entrepreneur. And if someone's putting out videos about how to be a successful entrepreneur, you better believe I'm going to be out there watching it. So whatever it is you sell, right? Whatever it is, what offers you have, who is your audience and who would be searching for your stuff, right? And then, it's just as simple as have good lighting, have a decent mic, $20 mic, and start making some content, right? So I'm curious about your take on this of repurposing content from YouTube over to other platforms, or taking live video that was on other platforms and repurposing it to YouTube. Have you had any experience in that space, or any advice for the audience on doing that?
Well, there are a couple things. One of the things that I have learned, and I've learned this from my kids too, is that I do leverage even some of my own videos. My phone allows me to record something on my screen. So I will do a screen record of part of one of my YouTube videos, only a few, maybe 10 to maybe up to a minute at the most. And I will put it in my Instagram story. I will put it in my Facebook story. And now, when I do an Instagram or a Facebook video, it allows me to download the video. I can put it other places as well. The thing that you have to remember, and this is what I'm also learning as I go, is with our YouTube channel, you look at your analytics and see where your viewing drops off. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I've learned already is I would put my whole podcast on YouTube, but I also load it to Blueberry in the audio format. When I do that, Blueberry only needs the audio, right? So the intro is longer on radio and, when we're listening to podcasts. But on YouTube, you can't afford for it to have a long intro. People want that. So it's either a slide or maybe 10 seconds, and you want to get right into the content because people's patience is low and you have only a few seconds to make that first impression. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to engage people quicker on YouTube. Whereas if someone's driving or they're in the gym listening to podcasts, they can, go through the longer intros. Whereas on YouTube, you won't see that. Mm-hmm. If you look at some of the videos you might even be following, this is where you learn from other videos, is see how quickly they go into engagement versus from that thumbnail that they start with.
Yeah. So I think we've touched on thumbnail a handful of times. It's come up. Let's talk about the importance of a thumbnail. Like, what is it? Why is it important? And how can it actually help you to grow your channel?
So one of the things with a thumbnail it is that first thing people see, that first impression. You only get one opportunity to make that first impression. So when you think about, if you allow YouTube to choose your thumbnail when you upload a video, your face could be like,
and it's always the worst face ever. It's always the worst.
Always. You're mid-sentence, you're talking with your hands all over, and you're like, why did it choose that? Yeah. Well, let's put yourself back into that control. Go to Canva, pick Monkey, whichever graphic design you use, and you can create a thumbnail very easily with a matter of minutes, a picture, and maybe it's going to be 5 tips to do this. People are looking for something that's going to grab their attention. What is it? What solution do you have for me? Mm-hmm. So to put in what it's going to solve, like for my podcast, I just did one on managing your energy, not your time. So I have that as a title on my podcast, but I went and made a separate thumbnail specifically for the YouTube as the intro so that they can see a picture of me and what I'm going to be talking about. Mm-hmm. Right. So and now I've looked at other thumbnails of other sites that I watch and I see what they're doing. So then I kind of learn, because success leaves clues. If you see a channel that's really working well, rinse and repeat. You're swiping.
What is it that they're doing so well? So yeah, for any of you who consume YouTube content, right? As you're scrolling, you search for whatever it is you're looking for, how to make money online, whatever. And, pay attention to what are you paying attention to, right? Chances are you're looking at the images, you're looking at the titles, and you're scrolling to see like, which one do I want to watch, right? What is it about the title? What is it about that thumbnail, that image that makes you want to click it, right? And once you start to like reverse engineer what makes you want to click, you can create content that makes other people want to click on your stuff, right?
Yeah. Fascinating. Like when you start digging in and understand a little bit of the analytics, like I just went away this weekend and I created a YouTube trailer for people who've never experienced my channel. So then you can upload it and you have this welcoming video to let people know what the channel's all about, how often they should be expecting videos dropped from you, and what type of content will be there. And then the invitation, there always got to be a call to action to say, hey, introduce yourself. What kind of content might you be looking for? And then it gives you also ideas of what kind of content.
Right.
I have people message me, on Facebook Messenger, Deb, can you create a video on this? Can you talk about this subject? I really need help in this area. And I listen to your podcast and I think there's more people who might need this too. I love when people do that.
Oh, me too. I'm like, oh, great. Now that I know that's what you want, I will happily go make it for you. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So for people who are realizing like, oh, it can be as easy as just pick a topic, film on it, create a little thumbnail. But what are some like creative ways that people can make their thumbnails really stand out as different or unique to make their video be the one that people click? Any tips there?
One is I like visual of the person who's going to be on there. So if you look at some of the ones with Gary Vee or, Evan Carmichael or Mel Robbins, you see a picture of them, but then you see the graphic with a bright color beside them. So it's usually a bright color. It stands out. And also, the big kind of white labels. Take a look at the ones that appeal to you. And then think about which are the ones that your target audience is actually attracted to. Because we might be attracted to certain things, doesn't mean our target audience is. So we really want to be studying our target audience at all times. Like, what are they reading? What podcasts are they listening to? Knowing that subconsciously, that thumbnail, that graphic art is part of what draws them there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I heard a piece of advice once that you should always put a picture of your face because people want to know who they're going to be hearing from, right? And I heard that if they can see the whites of your eyes, it's going to convert better.
Wow.
So imagine how zoomed in you have to be for someone to see the whites of your eyes. Like, oh my goodness. And I started testing it. And so far it's true.
Yes. And here's the thing. I think this is what we learn as entrepreneurs as well, is everything is about testing. And you can only measure what you manage. So to look at where you're getting greater hits, like recently I was scrolling through to see where my greatest video viewing is coming from. What topics am I talking about? And I'm like, oh, okay, I need to talk more about fear. I need to talk more about motivation. These are the topics that people are asking me about. Or if I went on a trip, someone asked me that, hey, can you talk about the retreat you took yourself on? What did you do? Like, what made you decide to do it? And it was all about managing my energy. That's what led to it, right? So pay attention to what people are telling you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a never ending pool of ideas, honestly, if you're listening to what people are commenting on, or even just go into, other groups where your target audience is hanging out and look at what are they talking about in there. Chances are, if they're talking about it, they care about it, right? I mean, it can be simpler than you think. So fascinating. Now, for people who are wondering, okay, but once I film a video, a lot of people are their own worst critics. Like, oh, I hate how I look. I hate how I sound. I pause too much. I say too much, right? What advice would you have for them on video editing if they're kind of paralyzed in fear because they're like, I'm not an editor. I don't know how to do that. What advice would you have on how to edit video?
There's several options. I use, I think it was free when I first started, and then I up-leveled and then got a discount. It was Movavi, very easy cut and paste and very easy to learn. Mm-hmm. There's also lynda.com, skillshare.com that teach you a few things. If you have iMovie, it's pretty simple to move things on. Don't get stuck on how fancy it needs to be. I've learned a lot. It's just like my kid's scrapbook. First kid, I started off learning about scrapbooking. By the third kid, I was just like, I want to go back and redo the first one. Mm-hmm. If you go through even my YouTube channel, you'll see that there's times it's like, whoa, it was dark. I had one interview with Fabrizio Mancini. He's a chiropractor. They're very close friends with Jack Canfield. And I was with them at an event, and, I have pictures with Jack, and then I had some pictures with Fabrizio, but the video was black. I'm like, what happened? The lighting was terrible, but the interview was so good.
Yeah. And you're thinking like, oh no, how can I still use this?
So exactly. So what did I do? The only thing I had was a still image. So all I did was load the still image so it would be long enough for the content of the interview. And at least it had a picture of him. And, it had over 300 views because the interview is what is important, the content. And there will be times, but do you want to lose great content, or do you want to repurpose it so it could also be a win for that person in the best that you could? And then you could take quotes and put them on, social media graphics. You can put them on Twitter, so there's ways to leverage even what we say is our failures, because I don't believe in failing. I believe that we have a way to learn from it, to actually create something new from it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. With everything you do, you either get the result that you want, or you get the learning you need to get the result that you want. Like, exactly. Every single time. So
the path is still leading to you to where you need to be, and be able to trust that.
Mm-hmm. And so even for those of you who are maybe feeling a little apprehensive, go back to Debra's or to my channel, dig into the old stuff, right? Go ahead and watch it. Like, everyone starts from ground zero. Like, it's just the way it is. It's how it
and
works.
The hair, I'm like, oh, I have so many things. I'm like, man, that was bad hair. And I look back and I'm like, oh, maybe I should go put in new thumbnails, or I should delete that video. I'm like, no, we're all part of evolution. We're all part of a journey. And this is what I tell myself. And I will tell people that, who want straight shooting conversations, is get over yourself. It's not about you. Yeah. It's about the content you're providing. Do we all have bad hair days? Absolutely. Do we have a trend maybe for a year or so? Yeah, we do. Yeah. But you know what? At the time, that's who we were. Mm-hmm. And now we're someone else with new knowledge, experience, and to know where you start is better to start than not at all.
Done is better than perfect.
Absolutely.
And your journey makes you who you are. I would never change a step in my journey, even though I spent way too many years in what I call the struggling hustler zone, where I was like, I was working hard, but I was not making money. Right. But it was part of what taught me what not to do.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's part of our journey. It's important. And who knows, maybe your early stuff will inspire someone else to get started. Right. So embrace whatever phase you're in, right? Like, you're in the perfect place. Absolutely. So once you're brave enough to get on camera, you have your lighting, you got your mic, you're ready with whatever editing software you have, which doesn't have to be complicated. I just use iMovie.
Yeah.
Whatever free comes on your computer is probably fine. What are some tips on how to actually grow your channel? how to, because it's partially pleasing your audience, but it's partially pleasing YouTube. Like, how do you make YouTube happy? Any tips for us?
Yeah. So I'm not going to get into a lot of the ads because I'm in the process of learning a lot more about the YouTube ads. But on your own, think about your Facebook. Think about your Instagram. How many people do you already have? Each person knows 250 people on average. So we can extend that network and invite people to come over to your YouTube channel and let them know where you are, what kind of content. And this is where this trailer is going to be really great. So this trailer should only be between 30, maybe to 90 seconds at the most. Something quick, something punchy, inviting people as a welcoming to your channel and asking for what you want. I would love for you to go over, subscribe so you don't miss a single video and hit the bell, and you're going to put that as a call to action at the end of your videos as well. So if people find you, whether it be from YouTube, whether it be from external sources and coming to YouTube or searching, they're going to be able to automatically get those notifications. So having that call to action in there is really, really important. But start with who you know. It first might start off with family and friends, and sometimes they're not always your ideal client. But to get started, and you never know who's watching necessarily. They don't always subscribe. I have people who come up to me and like, I watched your YouTube video, and I'm like, oh, I didn't see that you subscribed. And they're not going to always tell you, but they could be admiring you from afar and knowing that you're taking the steps to do something. Then you're going to go to networking events and you're going to let people know that you have a YouTube channel. But the other thing is, even in the YouTube description, I put a list of the other channels that I would love for people to hop over to. You can go, there's a link there to click on my YouTube description that this is who I am. This is how you can work with me. This is my other social media links. This is where you can get my books. So that you click on the link and it takes you to my other social media channels where I'm inviting you as well. So to be able to leverage that, have that call to action, invite people you already know, and go to networking events when it's possible to have those face-to-face conversations, or if there's other platforms and people give you an opportunity to share and say, you know what, I have a YouTube channel. Heck, why not throw on a Facebook Live and say, hey, everyone, I just started a YouTube channel. I'd love for you to go over there right after we're finished talking and click and subscribe. I would love to know what kind of videos you'd like. So message me privately or however you'd like them to contact you. And here you already are building this channel. What I would recommend, though, is, and I told people when they're building their podcasts as well, is get 10 videos at least. Because once people start watching one, they want to binge. They want to consume more of you. So get 10, even, short 3-minute videos, just introducing yourself, some basics, give them in 5 tips or strategies, thinking about ways that you can connect with them and start that connection. Very, very powerful.
So you can cross promote your channel on all of your other platforms and vice versa, but you can also promote other people, and chances are they might catch wind of your stuff and start sharing your stuff as well. It's all karma, you guys. It's all karma. And another thing I've noticed too on YouTube, whenever I watch 2 or more videos from a channel, YouTube will follow me around and be like, hey, you going to subscribe? Hey, you should subscribe. Like, they will follow you around.
Yeah.
And recommend that channel's content. As long as if someone watches 2 or more videos, they'll recommend you.
And one of the most important things I want people to remember is consistency is key. You can't go just, okay, I'm going to post YouTube videos for the next 30 days and then disappear. Mm-hmm. People watch YouTube kind of like Amazon Prime, or they watch it like television. They have that certain show that they're going to watch. So if you're able to stay Tuesdays and Thursdays, I pop these videos out, or on Sundays. And it also helps you manage your energy and time when it comes to the other things that you're doing. Maybe you're needing to work on other social media pieces and you don't want to lose track of time creating and editing and shooting videos, because eventually you may hire that out.
Right, exactly. And so, yeah, it starts with you, but you can evolve to the point where you have people helping you,
Yeah, it's building the team as you go.
Right. Absolutely. So you're saying just pick a cadence that you know you can stick with it, whatever that cadence is.
Yeah. Run your own race.
What cadence do you publish content in? I'm curious.
Usually I'm doing one for sure because I have a podcast that goes out every week. Sometimes I think that I'll create a video just for the YouTube channel and then nothing extra for the podcast. But lately, based on the questions that people have been asking me, I'm like, okay, just more podcast content and then trim it to what YouTube needs.
Yeah.
So twice a week, 1 to twice a week minimum.
Yeah. And I'm at once a week and, it feels reasonable. But honestly, if you're watching this and you're thinking that's too much for me, even twice a month is like whatever your cadence is.
And as time progresses, you can expand that because we all have stuff going on in our lives. Let's get serious here. There's all competing demands, and it's how we manage the energy and the time that we have to make the most impact.
Yeah. So what kind of advice can you give for people who are wanting to put content out, but they're kind of like, I don't want it to put it out there and have no one ever find it or watch it. What kinds of things can they do to help random people on YouTube find their stuff so that it does get some views?
So here's one of the things. Start engaging in conversation. Go on to the channels that you do like, the videos that you do watch. Make some comments below. Let other people see your name and really get involved in a conversation. People notice. Or if there's a blog, if on a topic that you talk about, you might share, hey, I've expanded on this topic. I love what they did here. This is a great way for you to expand because you think that people are like, oh, who's this person commenting? And then they click on you. And then it's like, oh, they have a channel. I need to go check out their channel. And it's kind of like this web that takes you to different places. The other thing is, when you're first creating content, maybe there's someone who might be a little bit ahead of you or someone who you think that might be parallel to you. And why not make a collaborative video? Hop on Zoom, get it recorded, and have a conversation about a certain topic, interview each other, and then they can showcase it on their channel and you can showcase it on theirs, and you're doing some cross promotion. So now you've expanded your reach and you will have more subscribers come to you as well.
Fantastic. And I've definitely experienced that too. Collaborations are one of the fastest ways to grow. So I would definitely second that. Yeah. What tips do you have for people about how to name their videos, what keywords to use, things that can help them be searchable and findable? Any advice there for us?
So the great thing about YouTube is when you type in a few words like how to create video, you will already see some of the keywords because basically that search engine is showing us already what people are looking for. You can even type it into YouTube like that and you'll see that the sentence fragments already show up. By doing that, we can see what people are looking for. So there's been times that, let's say I put something about, what was it the other day? It was how to phrase letting go of something and setting intentions. And so I Googled it to see how many search numbers came up. It was 1 million and something for this. And just the slight tweaking changed how much it showed up in results. So I went with the higher results. No matter how I thought it should sound, I looked for what was the highest search and results of how it's going to show up for people when they type in that sentence. So this is sometimes where we got to get out of our own way of like, oh, I really like it to say, let go of this. But the search engine says I should say it this way. And I'm like, okay, search engine wins. Because I want people to find the content and the value that I'm here to deliver. Because all of you who are watching us, you all have a mission and a message that needs to be shared with the world. And most importantly, for you to step into your own potential, sharing your gifts so that you inspire others to do the same.
Someone out there is searching for the exact topic that you're knowledgeable about, and they're waiting for your content. They're looking for it. I mean, YouTube is a huge search engine, right? People are constantly searching. And so, why not have your video be the one that they search and find and get value from, right? I mean, I couldn't agree more. That most entrepreneurs that are here in this audience, they're here because they truly want to have an impact and want to help people, and they have a heart for that.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Think about how many books there are in the world. And every year more books are being published, because you're probably thinking, oh, there's already a video on that. Why should I create this video? Well, they haven't experienced you, and only you can share it in your way, in your delivery, how you show up that day. Is all it has to do. And this is what I learned as a speaker. It has to impact one person. Mm-hmm. And remember, that one person expands to 250 because it will show up in how they show up. Something you said will sit with them and plant a seed. It might not immediately blossom, but eventually they might have, oh yeah, I watched this video one day, and suddenly someone else is watching your video because you're opening a conversation that spoke to them.
Absolutely. And how many of you, even just watching in this event, there was a certain speaker that they just jumped out of the screen at you and they just hit you in a certain way. And you're like, there's something about the way they speak. It sounds right to me. There might be 100 other people who talk about the same thing that speaker does, but that speaker hit you in just the right way. The way you speak and the way you teach and the way you share is going to hit someone just the right way, right? So you just got to get out there and share it and do it. Yeah.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. You can do this. Great. Any other closing tips on how to start and or grow your YouTube channel if you're wanting to create a really nice library of assets that honestly will live forever on the platform?
So here's the thing. If you feel stuck, like people get writer's block, you're going to have creator's block. Go look at some of the titles of the topics that you look at or what your audience is looking at. Mm-hmm. There's nothing saying that you couldn't spin off that title if you needed to, but create your own content from your own experiences. Mm-hmm. Share your stories. No one has experienced life the way you have. So stories build connection. So ensure that you are using stories in your YouTube videos, whether it be a client story, testimonial, or your own personal story. Build connection. And it's okay to be vulnerable when it is appropriate. Mm-hmm. People don't want to be vomited on, basically telling, all the details. But I can tell you one of the most impactful video podcasts that I did was with Mark Victor Hansen and his wife, Crystal, is they were talking about a kidney transplant patient in their book, Ask. My mom is a kidney transplant patient. And I started having emotion. And then when I shared with them why I was emotional, they became emotional. And we had this bond, this connection. And we shared that on that video. So, it's okay to explain and share that emotion with people. You're building connection. Mm-hmm. We can get all judgmented in our heads about, what will they think of me? You know what? They're not thinking about you. As soon as they get off their video, they're thinking about the content you delivered and how they're going to use it to make an impact, to maybe create more income in their families, to make an impact, to build a community. They're not going to be stuck on, man, look at her hair, or look at those earrings she was wearing, that outfit. Like they don't care.
No,
they don't care. So go out, no excuses. And I want to leave you all with a challenge to go out and create one video within the next 72 hours.
I love it. I love that call to action. Chances are in your own home, you have everything you need. Even if you don't have a ring light, you probably have a window you could sit in front of, right? And your phone, our phones are excellent quality. Sit there, make a video. Don't overthink it because, Debra couldn't be more right. People think about you and judge you way less than you think they do. Way less, almost zero. That mostly it happens in your own head, not with them, not with them. So I love that call to action. I love that challenge. So for people who are really ready to get into action, they're ready to do this. I know you have a free gift that could help us get started. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So the gift I have for you is a 3-part video course called Making Habits Stick. You hear that, 21 days, 66 days. I say, if you can hit the 3-month mark, you're going to really make it stick. But in this 3-part video course, we talk about the power of habit. We talk about the derailers and the things that sidetrack you off your game and how you can get back on your game. Because we want to build focus and consistency. Like how many of you can say, yeah, I procrastinate. Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Especially because time expands to what we give it. And when we can build a habit that is going to be consistent and build on other things that we do, we will get into a consistent pattern and build the discipline we need to execute and get the results that we want. And, it might sound like it's difficult, but when you can integrate it into, just like when you learned how to ride a bike or you learned to drive a car, it will be so natural that you won't have to focus on every little thing that you're doing because suddenly it's something you just do. And that's what this course will help you do. I walk you alongside. I got some play sheets to work on, and that you will move yourself into action and making some of those habits stick. All you have to do is go over to debrakasowski.com, and that's Kasowski with an S.
And I'll have a button below or on the side. Look for the button. There's a button.
Excellent. And you'll take you there. You put in your email and it will come to you immediately.
Perfect. You know what I love about this gift is, so for the audience, whether you came here to get started on YouTube and get more consistent there, or whether you were here to learn about Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, whatever, forming a habit that actually sticks of using that new platform that you just learned about, you can apply this free gift to any platform, to any habit, to any business building activity that you are taking on this year. And so it's like the chameleon of all gifts, you guys. You really do need this, because what I've noticed in these events like this, it's the people who take action who get the results. And it's the people who persevere with that action and create a habit out of it that stand the test of time. So will you stand the test of time in your business? Let's find out by making habits stick. Let's grab that gift, make sure that you actually implement. And feel free to join us in the Facebook group afterwards. Debra will have access to the group. We'll have Q&As going on in there. Make sure that you guys are ready to take action, form habits, maybe even start a YouTube channel. So thank you so much, Debra, for being with us here today. I so appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Adrienne. This has been a pleasure. And I would love for, people to check out my YouTube channel and Adrienne's, of course, learn from us, because this is where you have mentorship. We are here to take you along the way to help you step toward your success.
Fantastic. Wonderful. So let's continue the conversation. We'll see you guys in the Facebook group. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, where we support coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers to translate their big picture vision into actionable plans to build out their business efficiently. If you love our show, we invite you to visit buildalifebydesign.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover more helpful resources. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you for listening.